This DIY is so easy to accomplish. I'm going to be taking this bell that I found at the Dollar Tree. I thought it was just a little too blingy for my style, so I went ahead and removed all the florals and the tinsel-y type things on top, and I also cut off that little hook that would allow me to hang it up. I just snipped that right off. And now I'm going to take some E6000 and some hot glue, and I glued the handle in place so it wouldn't move. Then I took it outside and I spray painted it a really pretty light gray color, and now I'm going to come back in and I'm just going to simply dry brush all over this bell because I wanted to make sure the poinsettias were coming forward, and I wanted it to look frosty as if it had been sitting outside on your door. So now I'm going to wrap a ribbon around it, add a bow, and then I'm going to come back in on the top. I added in a little craft stick and I'm gluing it into place so that I can add a finial on top of it. I thought this looked really cute, and I love the wood contrast with the gray paint and the buffalo check ribbon. Then I added some pine cones, as you can see there in the center of my bow, and I drilled a couple of holes in the bell right at the center bottom because I wanted to be able to make sure that it was gripping onto the bell and onto the sign. So now I'm just adding in some extra glue on the sides to help reinforce it so it doesn't wiggle or fall off over time. And then I'm just going to go and hand paint on the number 25 because I thought this would be so beautiful for Christmas time. For this ornament, we're going to be using the large plastic ball from the Dollar Tree. We're going to snip off that little tag, and then we are going to go ahead and add some paint on the inside of the ornament. Make sure you shake it around and get all the sides covered. I have realized after doing this several times, it's better to put in a nice amount of paint so that it can shift and move around and then just tap out. I don't like wasting paint, but it's just honestly the best way to do this because otherwise you'll be shaking it forever trying to get the paint to cover up all the little spots. And then make sure you turn it upside down and get out the rest of that paint by letting it sit there and tapping it and sit there and tapping it. Once it's dry, go ahead, and I picked up this little round brush from Joann's. I love this little thing. I will be using it a lot more here in my craft room. I will put a link down below in my description box to see if I can try to find it so that you can all go and check it out if you're interested in it. So how it works to get a good polka dot pattern is you do one in the center and then you do 6 polka dots spaced out around the sides, and then you just move down and create the next center, and then you're going to end up finishing doing the 6 polka dots around the side. And then you just continue to do this pattern over and over again, and you can see how there's the center and then here are the 6 dots going around it. Now once that was all dry, I went ahead and added on some twine, and then I'm adding on a bow at the very top to conceal the knot, cut off the extra and hung it up to display. Up next is the easiest DIY. Oh friends, I'm so excited to share this one. When I saw them come out with these at Christmas time, I just knew that I wanted to turn this into a farmhouse DIY. So I took off this cheesy silver tinsel garland that was on it, and you're left with this cone that is perfect. Now the spacing between the jump rings are a little too wide apart for what we're going to be doing, so I'm going to take some of this twine, and again, this came from the rope at the Dollar Tree. I just untwisted it and it gave me 3 nice thick pieces of twine. So I'm going to cut that piece off and I'm just going to glue it into place, and you can see that I'm making smaller jump ring sections that's going to allow me to be able to glue something to it in just another moment. And when you do that one, you're going to make sure you go in between the other 2, the one at the bottom and as well as the one at the top, and make sure you glue them into place nicely so that there aren't any issues structurally and it falls apart with time. Once you've got those all glued into place, you're going to see that it's ready for the next step. So you're going to take some drop cloth. I bought a huge drop cloth at Home Depot, and then over time I've just been ripping it up and using it for my DIYs. So you're going to take your tree and you're going to just figure out how wide you want your strips to be. And once you do, you're going to make a snip in the fabric, and then you're just going to simply rip it all the way down to the bottom. I love doing it this way because it frays the edges and it saves me from having to do that work myself. It actually speeds up that process. You're going to take those strips of fabric, you're going to pinch the end, and this is to create a nice fold in the beginning, and you're just going to hot glue that down into place. Now we're going to be doing a ruffle all the way around this tree, and I'm going to show you how to do it. It is the easiest thing to create a ruffle, but just in case you don't know, I'm going to walk you through the steps in the beginning. So first what you're going to do is you're going to create a line of hot glue, pull that down, press it in place, and then you're going to do a dot of hot glue. And you're going to want to also make sure that you're reaching down at the bottom, and again there's no bald spots. So now do a little dot of glue, pull it back, push it down into place, let it dry for a second, and then you're going to pull back that fabric so that you can put in your next line of glue. So you're just going to go back and forth between line, dot, and then it'll create the ruffle without any struggle at all. When you get to the end of that first jump ring section, you're going to take your fabric, you're going to take your scissors, and you're going to cut it because you don't need any of that extra stuff. And then you're simply going to take the end of that fabric and you're going to turn it under and hot glue it down into place. So just like I'm doing here, you're going to fold it under, and I'll show you one more time just in case you missed it. And to make sure it stays into place, I've decided to just put a little hot glue, fold it under, and then I'm going to put down some hot glue on the starting points, and then I'm just going to hot glue that down into place. And now you have finished all the way around your first row, and you're going to just move all the way up to the top. Now to make sure that the bottom stays in place and it just doesn't get all weird looking over time, I'm just going to glue down little bits here and there where the pleat is on the back side to glue it into place. When you get to the top and after you've gone all the way around, you're just going to complete that last little bit. And the top, if you noticed, I was pinching the fabric together to make sure that it is nice and smushed. The fabric towards the top gets less and less just because there's less surface to have to circle around. So it's really not that complicated. You just keep smushing it in just like I'm doing here. Now that you've got it all covered with fabric, you can decorate it. You could technically leave it like this with just the fabric if that's your style and you like that, or you can add a little flare at the top, which is more my style. So I'm going to add some of the picks that I just cut up into little small pieces, and I'm going to add a pretty glitter bow. For this DIY, we are going to be using some of these wood planks and these two different fonts for rub-on stickers. Now I'm going to start by making my sides and my bottom of my box, and I'm going to just trace where I need to cut the sides of my box. This is really easy to do. I'm using my miter box to be able to cut these pieces. You could technically cut them with your scissors too, but honestly it would just tear your scissors up. So I'm using my miter box because I have it here on hand. Then I'm going to add some hot glue and some wood glue, and I'm going to just bring all of the sides together. So once I have the two long sides, I went ahead and added on the ends of the box. Doing the same exact thing, adding in the hot glue and the wood glue for that long-term, short-term hold. Make sure you get all the extra off the side so it's not spilling out and you have a nice clean finished side. Then I painted the boxes a light gray and a beautiful forest green. On the light gray, I used some of those rub-on stickers. I love these things because they're so cool. It reminds me of my days when I was a scrapbooker. And then on the green box, I decided to paint on the word winter. So the gray box says, "Baby, it's cold outside," and then the green box says winter. I think together these are so pretty, and in just a second they're going to start to come together where you're going to see me stacking them and doing some really cool stuff with them. So just take your time if you're doing any hand painting. I always love this because it's so therapeutic for me. I always trace it out first with my pencil and then I go over it with a fine tip brush with my white paint. Now we're going to make something special for the box. I'm going to take some of these snowflakes that they have at the Dollar Tree, add one of these craft long sticks to it, and then I'm going to go ahead and let that dry and go ahead and work on putting in my foam into the boxes. So I just added some hot glue at the bottom and I'm just putting them all down into place, and then I'm coming in with some greenery and some snowflakes that I put on those sticks and just really dressed it up, and it just looks so cute together. For this DIY, we're going to be using 2 oval plaques, 1 round wood plaque, and then these 2 different size craft sticks or dowels, either one you want to call it. We're going to start by taking out the twine that was on the 3 of these plaques, and we're going to do a hole right into that plaque. Now, I did not go all the way down through because I wanted it to be able to hold this stick. So we're going to go ahead and put that stick on, as well as 2 other shorter sticks on this oval sign, glue that on. I also added in some wood glue, and I'm making sure that it's straight because you don't want this to be crooked, so make sure you check it before the glue really dries. And then I'm coming back in with some more hot glue and some wood glue, and I'm going to bring on that other piece. Now this is turning into the coolest farmhouse Christmas decor. Now once that putty was filled into the holes and it dried, I went ahead and sanded it to smooth it out, and now I'm taking another one of these dowels and I'm cutting it down to size so that I can use a star at the top and help support the side so it doesn't break over time. I wanted to make sure it's nice and flat up there at the top so it can support the points of the star. So I added on some more hot glue, put on a larger and a smaller star so it has a nice layered look, and at this point we can now go ahead and start to stain our wood. Now this project, I've got to tell you, was so much fun because I was kind of creating it and coming along as I was going, making these decisions of what would be best. And so here I am, I'm taking a little bit of brown paint, black paint, and some water, and I'm using it as a stain. It's a really affordable way if you don't want to go out and work with stain, which can be even more messy. This is almost like working with watercolors, and it cleans up really easy. So once I have that all painted, I left that oval in the middle because we're going to be doing something really special there in just a few minutes. I'm going to take some of this buffalo check ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to just hide where these ovals are coming together because we don't want to see down inside there. So this really finishes the sides really nicely. When you get to the bottom of the oval, just go ahead and take your scissors and snip it off because you are going to run into the dowel that's holding up the oval sign. Then you're going to come around on the other side and you're going to go as close up to that wooden dowel you can get and just clean it up. And then as well, we're going to come around the bottom of the base. Now once everything is dry, we're going to go ahead and come back in with some white paint, and I did 2 coats of this so it was really crisp and beautiful. And I just made sure there was that wood showing around the sides. I also painted the star and the dowel that's holding everything together and up. So I came in with a smaller brush where I needed it, a bigger brush where I needed it, and I just took my time painting all the white areas that I wanted it to have. Then once I was all done with that and the paint was dry, I came back in with a really pretty grayish blue color, and I lightly dry brushed the top to look like the night sky, and then I came in with a greenish, almost like a greenish brown color, and then I did the grass with a dry brush, and then you saw that I did the sticks for the manger and the little bed for baby Jesus. And now I'm just coming in with some hay, and I used some white to create his head and his little swaddling, and I'm just coming in with some lighter brown and just finishing off the hay. And you also saw that I used the fine tip brush to circle around the head and the body of baby Jesus. Then I used my handwriting and I just wrote on Merry Christmas in pencil, and then I came back in with my black paint and my small brush and I hand painted the rest of that. Now I wanted to sparkle up that star just a little bit, so I added some hot glue in between the stars, and I'm just adding in this really chunky, thick, vintage looking glitter. I thought this looked so pretty. Then at the bottom I added a bow and some of the Spanish moss, and it's ready to be displayed. For this DIY, we are going to be using one of these cone trees that have the tinsel all over it and some yarn of your liking. And we are going to just unravel it, take it all off. Now I am going to take this yarn and I'm going to tie a double knot on it first. And then I'm going to just twist that knot underneath so you don't even see it and it's hidden inside. These trees are so easy to make. And you just pick the color yarn that you like the most, and you are just going to twist it and wrap it all the way around it. Now when you get to the bottom, it can get a little tricky, so use some hot glue and just take your time going around the bottom a couple of times until you've covered everything up. Make sure you don't wrap it too tight, because you will find that you will use more yarn that way. It's better to wrap it loosely, so that way it's on there nice, but it's not so tight that it's causing you to use double the yarn. So once you get to the end and you've wrapped it and you don't see anything poking through, go ahead and take that end piece of yarn and pull it underneath and glue it in place. Then up at the top there is already a hole there, so I'm going to just put in one of these shish kebab sticks, and I'm going to just cut it down to size because I decided to put a finial on top of one of them and a star on top of the other. I made a large one and a small one by just cutting it down to a smaller size, and then you'll have a set of these trees to display in your home. This next DIY is so friendly. It is a perfect DIY if you're a new crafter and you want to try something out. What you're going to need, one of these foam cones from the Dollar Tree. I struggled saying that a little bit. And then whatever ribbon you choose from the Dollar Tree or other places, or anything you might have on hand. So this ribbon is from the Dollar Tree. I picked it up during the fall time, and the trick to it is you're going to fold it in half where the wires are coming together and touching, and then you're going to start to just snip along that ribbon. And we're going to be making a wider snip as you're going along, and then as we get closer and closer to the top, you're going to see that I'm starting to make it a little bit closer together so that they're smaller snips versus wider snips. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your hot glue, you're going to go ahead and put that on your cone, and then you're going to just keep going around and around until you coil all the way up to the top. Now you can see at this point I'm starting to make my snips being a little bit smaller. Right around this area, the middle, I like to go a little bit more of a medium and then really small towards the top. Now this is a part that I learned as I was going along and trying this and kind of coming up with how I wanted to do it. I decided to add some hot glue in between where the wires touch each other, just to try to help it keep it from losing its form or its shape, and it just helped it to make it easier to put it back on when I was coiling it around the actual cone. So as you're getting towards the top more and more, you're going to notice that at the very top it's not going to want to cover all the way up, and you want it to be nice and clean. So I took a piece of the ribbon and I cut it into a larger circle. I put some hot glue, I pulled it all around the side, so that way when I got up to the top we can make this look as clean as we possibly can. Then as you get to the top with those really small cut pieces of the ribbon, how you see me fraying it, I went ahead and just twisted in the very end and glued it down into place. This really makes it look polished up at the top, and I just love how this turned out. Now this is where it gets even fun. We can stop here and leave this as it is, but I felt like the top needed a little something, plus I wanted to kind of clean it up some. So I found this leftover pick piece from one of the florals that I used for this video, and I decided that it would be so cute if I poked that down at the top and then added some wood beads at the top. I don't know what it is about this part, but when I did it, I ended up, it went from feeling like it was cute to feeling like it was high-end, something you would see in a boutique, and it just kept getting better and better, and you're going to see that I just keep taking it one step better. Now again, you could totally stop here, and you could even just do the tree, not the wood balls on top. But then I decided, wait a second, let's take it one more step further. So I took one of these wood blocks from the Dollar Tree and a little dowel also from the Dollar Tree, and I just drilled a hole, and you can see that I didn't have the right drill bit that I needed for it, so I just kind of wiggled it around until I got it to a size that I would need for the dowel to be able to fit down in there. Added some hot glue, added it into the tree at the bottom, and I pushed it down, made sure it was secure, and then I also hot glued up in there to make sure everything was nice and secure. With the bow being on top, it's so cute. Now we could stop there, or we can go one more step further. And this is the thing about DIYs, they're so fun to customize them, to make them your own and keep playing with them. These little garden tags are from the floral section. I love these things. There's something about them that looks so farmhouse, high-end looking. And then I went ahead and just popped it off the stick, glued it onto the wood block, and now I decided to write the number 25 because I thought that would be so sweet for Christmas. So I went ahead and just took my time with my thin paintbrush and some white paint, and once it was all done, it's ready to be displayed. For this DIY, we're going to be using a long tongue depressor stick, some beads, some wire, and then this garland twist wrap stuff that you can get from the Dollar Tree. In fact, all of these supplies are from the Dollar Tree. Go ahead and use your wire scissors, cut off some wire, twist the very end, and then start threading on the beads. And you're not going to make this too long. I can't remember how many beads it was that I slipped on here, but I'm just going back and forth in the different sizes. And then we want to make a small ring, nothing too big. I don't want to be able to put my hand through it, but maybe my daughter probably could. And then once it's done, go ahead and twist the ends to make sure it's nice and secure in place. I took those outside and I spray painted them red, and while they were drying, you can actually see one over to the side. I went ahead and took that tongue depressor stick and I cut out a dovetail on the end, and now I'm just sanding off all of the extra rough edges. Then I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to write all of my family members' names on these tongue depressor sticks that will now become like a little banner. I just think these are so sweet, especially if you like to, you know, think about your family members, or if you're a grandparent and you want to have all your grandchildren's names on the Christmas tree. This is a really sweet DIY. Or if you're a crafter and want to give all of the grandkids' names to a grandma or a grandpa to put on their tree. Like I said, this is such a sweet heirloom gift to give someone. Then I added some greenery up at the top, some little leaves, a little bow, and then I threaded on a piece of twine up at the top to make sure I had my knot. And then I pulled that knot down so it could conceal it, because we don't want to see that messy knot up at the top. And then I just simply hot glued it into place and it was ready to hang up. For this DIY, I want to show you all how easy it is to make a beautiful manger, and it costs absolutely nothing. This is a dollar sign from the Dollar Tree. It's leftover from the summertime. I pulled it out because it was the perfect size. Now I found the center point and I brought up an angle on both sides to create a roof line because we are going to be creating a nativity scene. So I'm just going to snap these off after scoring them. I love these boards because they score really easy. You can use a box cutter, that works really well, but I just use my craft knife that I have in my room. And then I went ahead and just cleaned it up with a pair of scissors. Once I had that cut down to size, I'm now going to take my white paint and I'm going to give it 2 coats of white paint. Once the white paint was dry, I went ahead and moved on to Mary and Joseph. Now I am just going to simply take some green, create this shape for the body, and then come back in with different tints of green. Just keep playing with it and adding on these different layers. Then I'm going to move on to Mary, and it's going to be the same concept. We're going to just continue to add in different depths of paint and texture. And it's so easy to do this, friends. If you are not a painter and you're afraid to try these kind of projects, I promise you this is so easy, and I'm just going to walk you through all of these steps, and it's so fun. Now I saw this as inspiration over on Etsy and I thought, holy smokes, it's so expensive, and I'm going to show you all how easy it is to make this, and all it cost was $1 and some paint. You saw there I was making the manger. I made the little legs for the bed and I rounded it, and then I added on some hay, and now I'm adding on the head and the body of baby Jesus' swaddling. Then over on Joseph, I made a little cap and then brought it down his back, and then the same thing on Mary. A little cap, bring it down her back, and then add in some of that texture with different depths of paint. Now with baby Jesus, we're going to switch to that thin brush and circle around the body, the head, the swaddling, and then I'm coming back in with a small brush again and adding in some yellow. I really wanted it to have a pretty yellow in there. I thought that would be really cute. And then I'm going to come in with a darker color, and this looks a little scary at first, but you just keep playing with it. So you can see here that I'm just adding it in, coming back in with some tan, a little bit of white, and I bring back in some more tan and some more of the dark color, and I just keep playing with it until I get that layered look that I'm looking for. And then on his face, I went ahead and made it nice and tinted around the edges, and then I brought in a little bit more on his side. Now over on Mary, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just continue to bring in those colors, play with it, have fun. Don't worry about making a mistake. These kind of projects are so perfect for trial and error and just playing with it, and if you don't like it, you just add in more of a lighter color or a darker color until you get the look that you want. So you can see here that I just kept playing with it, and now up at the top of Mary, I did add that little detail coming down the back of her head because it almost looks like a little ribbon coming down. Now up at the top, we're going to just simply add a star, and this is really easy. Go one way, go the other way, and then the center points, go one way, go the other way. And then once it's all dry, you can come back in and we're going to distress it a little bit. So I'm adding in just a little bit of polka dots to make it look like the night sky. And it's not going to show up very well at the end. I wish it does, because I add in a little bit of blue and it really looks so beautiful in person. So once it was all dry, I just dry brushed on some of this grayish blue color, and it picked up all of the layers of paint that I put on with the white. And then at the bottom, I'm coming in with almost a mustard yellow to make it look like hay at the bottom, and then I'm coming in with some brown, and I'm just distressing it around the sides. Now friends, we could totally stop here, and y'all know me. We could just lean it up against something, or we can go one step further and make it even more special. So I have these little stacking blocks from the Dollar Tree. I just line them up along the bottom, and then I'm going to take my staple gun and just staple those on and let them sit for a second. Then I'm going to take these really big sticks that I get at Walmart. They're like giant tongue depressor sticks. And then I'm just going to cut off the round part and put them up at the top of the house. And I'm going to put them right in the center so that we can put some supportive bars in there. And these are just the little craft stick dowels that you can get from the Dollar Tree. So I glued them down, and I'm just putting that right in there. And I'm going to do it also in the back side, and then I'm all going to add some more hot glue back there because it's okay if it's on the back side. It's a little bit thicker with the glue. And that's really going to secure the roof. And then for the sides, I added in the longer dowels to make it look like it's the walls. Now on the back side, we could leave it there or we could go a little bit further. I took some of this buffalo check fabric that I had on hand because it's kind of the theme of this video. And now I'm going to take some more of those stacking blocks and I'm going to glue them into place and then staple them all into place. At the bottom, you want to make sure you put something down there so it doesn't scratch your table. So some felt or some extra fabric. And then come back in with some of this raffia, glue it into the corners, distress the wood. I used a kind of a, I don't know, an orangey brown color with some white, and I really love how it turned out. For this DIY, we are going to take this wooden star from the Dollar Tree and we are going to make one of the easiest DIYs. We are going to just simply paint it white or whatever color you want, honestly. And then once it's all covered and dried, we're then going to take it and we're going to use a ruler and we're going to create a shiplap look by using a thin pin and a ruler, and we're just going to create lines going across the star. This will give it that shiplap look. Really easy to do. Take your time on this, and I'm just using the width of my ruler and I keep moving up all the way to the top. Now you can use your silhouette or your Cricut for this if you don't feel comfortable with hand painting. You can do that with all of my DIYs, but I always want to encourage everyone to try something new, to learn a new skill, especially when it comes to crafting. I find that hand painting is so therapeutic for me. And it's just so fun. As you continue to do it, your skill will get better and better. So you can use vinyl or you can use your hand painting. And once you're done, go ahead and seal it. I found that it's important to seal it when you're using these rub-on stickers from the Dollar Tree, so that way they don't peel off the paint. And then add a bow at the top and you're ready to display it. The last DIY we're going to do today is with these picks and with these 3 jars that you can pick up from the Dollar Tree. I just think these picks are so pretty and I cannot wait to show you what I'm going to make with them. Once you get that sticker off, or if you don't at all, just go ahead and add some red paint to your jars, giving it a nice coating all the way around and then letting that dry. You're going to do that to all 3 of the jars, and while they're drying and you put them off to the side, you're then going to move on to ripping some more of those strips, or if you've already done them, then you're ready to go and just wait for the jars to dry. I'm going to fray them a little bit more and just pull out some of those fibers and then simply hot glue them around the jar. Now I made something like this for a fall video that I did a couple months ago where I wrote fall on them, but this one's going to be joy and it's going to be so pretty. I can't wait to show you what the O looks like in the middle. So when you get to the end, you're just going to fold that over and hot glue it into place. And then once your jar is done, you're going to move on to the other 2. Now use a pencil and just sketch on your J and your Y, and make sure you line your jars up so that the letters are the same size and consistency. This is the easiest part. You're going to just go right over the J with your Sharpie marker, and then remember, we're not going to do the O because I have something planned for the O. And the best part about this is there's no dry time, it's just immediate. You're going to take one of these garland ties and you're going to give it a haircut, because as of right now it's a little too bushy for it to be able to be used for a mini wreath. So you're going to take your scissors and you're just going to go down the garland, leaving some of the greenery and just trimming off a lot of that excess stuff. Then you're going to push that out of the way. It's funny because it kept sticking to my hands and to the table. It like magnetized. You're going to circle around to create your little mini wreath. You're going to test out the size before you cut it, and then once you've got it in place, you're going to cut it down to size and then just keep bending it until you get it to the perfect shape that you want. I wanted more of a long O than a short chubby round one kind of look, just because it's going to match the J and the Y better. You know, that Ray Dunn look that we all love. Then you're going to add some hot glue and put that on your jar, and then add some cute little berries and trim up any of that greenery that might be kind of going rogue that maybe you missed in the beginning. Take some foam squares you can also pick up from the Dollar Tree, cut them down to size and add a little bit of hot glue on the bottom of each one, and then shove them all in there nice and snug so they don't come loose. This is going to allow you to be able to put in all of your picks without there being any issues of them falling out and moving on you. Then just cut apart those 3 picks that I showed you earlier and put them all down inside of your jars, creating a really pretty look for your Christmas tables or entryway, wherever you decide to plan on using these jars. Then to finish the look, I'm going to take some of this gingham ribbon that I actually picked up from Walmart. I love this ribbon. It's over in their craft section, and I'm just going to tie a bow. And it still looked a little plain Jane, so I decided to take a button and really finish off the look. There's something about adding a little button on the inside of a bow that just makes me so happy every time I do it. I just always love the way it looks. And then here is the finished look.